Today we're making spicy vinegar-based coleslaw. This stuff is super quick, easy, and cheap to make, and it is terrific on top of any kind of burger, spicy chicken sandwich, even tacos. So next time you're invited to a barbecue or you're hosting, make a batch of this. All right, let's get cooking. To make our coleslaw, we'll start by cutting up our vegetables, and there are just 3 of those. We have cabbage. I happen to find a small head of cabbage, otherwise use about a half of a larger head of cabbage. Jalapenos, this is to taste. I'm going to use probably 2 of these 3, and I won't be removing the seeds because I do want this pretty spicy. And about half a red onion, already halved because we made burgers the other day and used the rest for toppings. All right, so we will start with really in any order, but I'm gonna go ahead and break down the cabbage first. Nothing super exciting about that. I have already washed it and removed the outer leaves, so I'm just going to kind of cut that hard stem bit out from the bottom. And then we'll just cut it one more time so that we have like quarter moons, and just slice this pretty thin. So this is about half the cabbage that I'm going to use, and I'll go ahead and put that into my bowl. You want to make sure you have a big enough bowl that you're not struggling to stir everything into it. This will settle as it sits in the vinegar, but I hate kind of wrestling with it and winding up, you know, like with something that that sloshes over the edges. So just err on the side of too big of a bowl. Right, I'm going to slice one of my jalapenos, and I'm just going to slice this into thin rounds. You can definitely slice all the cabbage at once, all the jalapenos at once, etc. But this just gives me less stirring to do if it's already a little bit layered. Of course, if you want less heat, you can seed your jalapeno first, or if you just don't like the texture of the seeds in your finished coleslaw. And actually the heat comes more from the white membrane, this white bit in here, than from the seeds itself. So of course, if you want to remove heat, you would basically just hollow out that pepper and remove the membrane as well as the seeds. All right, so I'm going to slice this. He'll actually cut it in half and then slice it. It'll be easier to do, and I'll wind up with half moons. You want coleslaw that is easy to eat, so you could even do, depending on the size of your red onion, you may decide you want your onion slices in those quarter moons like we did the cabbage as well. And then we'll just repeat and chop the other half of everything and give it a stir. Okay, veggies are chopped, and this winds up being about 8 cups altogether, the vast majority of that being cabbage. And to this, we are going to add maybe 2 teaspoons or so of kosher salt, about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. We'll get to grinding here. All right. And about a half a teaspoon of plain granulated sugar, because a vinegar-based coleslaw is really just a simple pickle. And anytime we pickle things, we're going to have salt, pepper, and a teeny bit of sugar to kind of round out the flavors. Now to this, we are going to add a bunch of plain vinegar. So I'm just gonna pour that over the top. I didn't dress this up for you guys by putting my vinegar into a nice glass mixing cup. We're just pouring it right out of the jug that I would use if I weren't recording a video. And I didn't get out a spoon, so I'm just going to use my knife to kind of start to stir that and kind of shove the cabbage and all down into that vinegar. And as I poured over, you'll notice that just kind of washed the seasonings into it. I need a little more vinegar to try to cover this, and it absolutely will settle quite a bit, but you don't want much more than the very top edge not covered by vinegar when you start this. All right, so just a hair more vinegar. Okay, and you can hopefully see that the vinegar is right up almost to like within maybe a centimeter, half a centimeter of the top of those vegetables. So I will give it a little bit more of a stir, and then I'm going to cover this and let it sit for at least 30 minutes, and that'll give us a real crunchy coleslaw. Or we can let this sit for up to a couple of days if we want. It'll still be crunchy, but not quite as much so, and the color from the red onions will infuse a little bit more into it. All right, we'll see this after it's been sitting. Our coleslaw has had about 2 hours of soaking time, and it is definitely ready to be enjoyed or to be popped into the refrigerator for another day or two until we are ready to use it. So you can see, hopefully, that the pink color from the onions has kind of gotten into the soaking liquid, and if we leave this for longer, we will wind up with a bit more of a pinker coleslaw altogether. Also, you can't see, but imagine that you can taste the heat from the jalapenos making its way into the rest of the mixture. So we have a nice spicy coleslaw on our hands. We hope you give this a try with your next burger or spicy chicken sandwich, and you check back soon for another recipe.